Hi everyone, welcome back to this series. So last time we did some pronouns, so now let's learn some verbs. So verbs are probably the most important thing in languages, I think, because you use them in basically every sentence. Verbs in Russian aren't too difficult, but they do change per person. So for each pronoun they'll have their own separate conjugation, and they are very important to know. So today I'll just give you I, you, he and she, because it's a bit too much to remember all 6 of them at the start or in one video. So there are irregular verbs in Russian, but normally they're quite rare, and normally they only add like a few letters in between, but most of them are regular. So there are 2 types of normal regular verbs in Russian. So these are verbs that end in eat and verbs that end in just t with a soft sign. So I'll give you 2 examples of these. So we have говорить, говорить. So the stress is on the e, so the o is pronounced as a, but anyway, говорить, which means to talk. So what you do is you take away the eat at the end, e, t and soft sign. You take those away and then you add the conjugations. The conjugation for I is just u. Говорю, я говорю. So generally the pronunciation is the same, but after these letters you have to write u and not you. But basically the sound is exactly the same, and I never really paid attention to this. I just learnt naturally through looking at different verbs. Okay, if you want to make it for you, ты говоришь, ты говоришь. Я говорю, ты говоришь. And on, она, he and she, it's the same. Говорит, говорит. Я говорю, ты говоришь. Он, она, говорит. So it's very important to know these verbs because obviously you can't speak without them. You can't speak without knowing verbs. You can, if you want to, not use the pronoun, but most of the time people do. Because the ending tells you who's saying it, it's normally used just to save time if you don't want to say it. For example, you could say, "Да знаю, знаю," like that, something like this. That's the next word, знаю, so znat. Znat means to know a person and to know a thing. Sometimes it's separate in different languages, but it's the same here, just means one thing. It means both things. So with znat, it just ends in t mягкий знак, t soft sign. So we take away those 2 letters, t and soft sign, and then add u for I. So знаю, я знаю, I know. For you, we don't add ish this time, we add yesh. So знаешь, я знаю, ты знаешь. And then for he, she, он, она знает. So you can try practicing with some of these. There are some irregular verbs in Russian. Normally they add, say for example, they could just add a consonant in between for some reason. I'll give you an example. You have the verb жить, which means to live. For some reason they add a v, like a v, or v, I guess. They add a v in the middle for some reason, I don't know why. So it should be jou, or I guess because it's e, it should be jou, jish, jit, but it's not this. They add like an eve, so they say живу, я живу, ты живешь. They add a yo here, so Russian people don't write it, but it is there. It's a yo, живешь, он, она живет. So sometimes it will be a yo, not a yeah, but it generally depends. I don't know if there really is a rule where the yo exists or not. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there is a rule, to be honest. You kind of just have to learn it. So there are some irregular verbs. But if you want to practice with these, if you want to make a question in Russian, it's very simple. You simply just change intonation. So in English, we would have to say something like, "You live," "Do you live?" "Are you living?" So we add "do you," like we add extra words, and we change the order. In Russian, no, they just change intonation. So you say, "You live," "Ты живешь." So if you want to say, "Do you live here?" "Ты живешь?" You just change the intonation so it goes up. We sometimes do this in English, not always. Say for example, you want to say, do you talk? You'd say, ты говоришь? Да, я говорю. Ты знаешь? Да, я знаю. So you can practice with these. So I'll just teach you one more thing that's quite easy. If you want to make them negative, all you do is just add the word nie. So you ne, nie, or in yeah. So for example, ты не знаешь. Нет, я не знаю. Ты знаешь? Да, я знаю. Ты живешь здесь? Нет, я не живу здесь. So it's fairly simple to make questions and negative forms. You just simply change the intonation or add the word nie to make it no, to make it negative. So it's actually fairly easy verbs in Russian. I will teach you the ones for вы, мы, and они in the next episode. So it's not too much to remember in one episode. But if you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you in the next episode.